just wrapped up an incredible day, really, with Omar. We talked about so many different things. We spoke a lot about male mental health. We spoke about some of his experiences with his mental health challenges. We have a shared experience of grief. So yeah, man, I hope you enjoy this episode. I don't really know what I'm going to call it yet, but thank you, Omar. You've been an amazing guest, and I hope you guys enjoy the conversation too. This is a proper January day. Look at the state of my jacket, it's all soaked through. The guest is a friend of mine that I actually met a couple of years ago in another gym. He's a poet, amongst other things. But yeah, just an amazing human being. I love vlogging. I love meeting people and having really cool conversations. And I thought, why not incorporate that into my normal daily routine? So today, I'm gonna be training with the guest, and whilst we talk about some heavy topics, actually. Yeah, man, new podcast concept. Let me know what you guys think.
Trap bar deadlift.
Yeah.
Single leg get up, incline dumbbell.
So functional. I haven't really been training too heavily the last couple of weeks as well. So
just go light on the
No.
Okay, sick.
We're going straight back in. This is my fault. I haven't been training properly. You put on so much size.
Yeah. I'm still kind of training the same. I'm not doing as much cardio, so like I'm not boxing as much.
What's your calorie intake?
I don't really track it anymore. I just eat when I want to.
I find the eating hard, man.
Eating's probably one of the more challenging bits, especially because like with everything I'm doing, I'm trying to listen to my body.
Yeah.
This is like the total opposite.
Yeah.
Nutrition is, I think, one of the hardest bits about keeping fit.
100%. It's like once you control your food, you just feel on top of it, man. The discipline.
Yeah.
So Emma got me a gift. This is Arab hospitality to the max. Got me some Jordanian dates. I obviously went the commercial route and flipping just got some creatine gummies. So I've started back in creatine again for the first time in 10 years. I stopped taking creatine, but do you know the real reason I actually did it wasn't because I got into like the best shape of my life without creatine, so I was like, I don't need this shit. At work sometimes I'll get mad brain fog. Yeah. I'm like, what's going on? But creatine apparently is really good for your brain health as well.
All the studies that have been coming out lately, like, I mean, I do a few different things. Like I take lion's mane because my family have dementia.
Yeah.
So like that's a big thing.
Oh my
amazing.
Goodness. These are incredible.
They're amazing.
This guy, so he's such a child, by the way. He can eat like 5 things and doesn't venture out any further until he falls into. Yeah.
I don't think this is a placebo. I actually feel a difference when I eat dates before a workout.
Same. So obviously there's loads of studies now which say that slow release of energy and stuff. Spiritually as well, like we're taught a lot about like the magic of dates.
When you're fasting, you break your fast with dates.
With a date, because you think because it's sweet and delicious that it must be like spike your insulin, and it doesn't. Johnny Lai, I know this is your brand. I've just started taking creatine for the first time in 10 years, and I'm using your brand. So you know, any sponsorship segment, we can start doing these gym vlogs, and I can get these on camera a bit more. But this one's free, don't worry about it. I was like in my early to mid 20s, the whole rumor about it making you go bald. So I was like, I can't risk that, bro. No, but you look so good, bro. I started to lose my hair. So I was like, I'm not doing that.
What about, like, has that changed? You bumped
no,
out? No,
but I care less now, and I've been smashing minoxidil.
Yeah.
So
do you take it orally or?
Oral one. Yeah.
I played rugby at like a decent level as a kid, and then when I went to Lebanon, I moved back to Lebanon when I was 18, and that's kind of where like my life really changed. One, because of like going back home, but then also like my mental health was all over the place. My only real outlet ever was sport. So like sport was always a cornerstone to like my mental health. I was also like not taking care of myself very well, but then also going and playing a really intense sport, which is rugby, right?
Yeah.
I would never be able to like get any momentum within it. So I would smash it, then get injured, then feel shit, then like smash it, then get injured, then because like I was drinking so much and going out and not eating enough and not eating well enough or eating too much or whatever. Yeah. Now it's kind of one out of joy. Like it keeps me just happy.
Yeah, bro. That's the best when you get to that point.
There's definitely times where I'm like, I'm so in my head that I'm like, right,
I need to go gym.
Yeah. Gym, run, BJJ, like boxing, whatever it is. Playing footy with my mates. just like moving your body. It's always been there. I just now have a better relationship with it.
Yeah.
Where like I don't lean on it too much.
Yeah. It supplements rather than you're indexing in and relying.
100%.
What are we doing for today's session then? Let's see. You're my coach today.
Yeah, man. It'll be fun. There was a point where I wanted to become a PT.
Actually, one of my friends who I had on my last vlog, just quickly into, he was smashing corporate, right?
Yeah.
Smashing corporate, doing really well, fairly senior. He just quit and he's a PT now.
Sick.
And he was like, I just realized that I just needed something, I needed to sell something I was passionate about.
Yeah.
Like fitness and like my own services. Like.
So, trap bar deadlift.
Right.
Single leg get-ups, incline dumbbell, which is always fun. Shoulder press.
Oh my days.
Single leg deadlift.
Oh my days.
A circus press. And then knee raises, and then kettlebell walks, which is
that's the one I saw. Yeah. Okay, fine. All right, cool. Well, I need to go to the toilet because I'm scared. I'm gonna go pee.
Do a doo-doo.
I'm gonna go pee. We'll warm up.
Nice.
Or like do a little stretch,
Yeah.
And then we'll get going.
Sick.
Sweet. Bro, I've properly started to appreciate mobility though.
It's
an age thing, innit? You feel completely different.
I found like years of tension in my body.
Yeah.
Just so much of it is connected to like trauma.
I've heard that, you know. A lot of mine is in my hip mobility, my ankle mobility, my lower back.
Same.
Shoulders, yeah.
Ankles, like
they carry a lot.
Yeah.
I've heard that actually.
I had a coach years and years and years ago. The first session we ever did, he was looking at my alignment. He pulled me to the side and he asked me, do you suffer from depression? And I looked at him and I was like, what?
From the way you're...
It's crazy. And I asked him, I was like, how do you know? And he's like, you can see it in your shoulders, which is wild.
That is mental. How early on did you recognize that you had depressive symptoms or you had suffered from depression?
Probably when I was like 18.
Yeah.
17, 18, 19.
English mum, Lebanese dad.
English mum, Lebanese dad, born in France. Moved to the UK when I was 12.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you grew up in France for a bit then?
Was in Lebanon, and then the war happened in 2006 with Israel.
Okay.
And then originally it was supposed to be a semester, where my mum and dad were like, right, okay, just get out of like, let's see where the country goes. And then my mum had always kind of wanted to send me to boarding school in the UK to and then moved back to Lebanon when I was 18. And then, shit really hit the fan then, and then...
In terms of the war then? Or?
No, just like
for you, the war in your mind?
Yeah. And then shit hit the fan again in 2020.
Wow.
And then I moved here.
You actually spent a lot of your time in Lebanon?
Yeah, which I love. A lot of like where that mental health came from was the feeling of like not knowing who I was.
Yeah, bro, I can relate to that. A lot of like identity, not knowing who you are, not knowing where you belong or where to place yourself.
It had been a struggle basically until I was in my mid-20s. I then decided like, actually I love being both. I'll take segments from everywhere. This is who I am. Like, I don't need to assimilate to anyone else.
It's funny though, because I've had a bit of that experience where you convince yourself you are a certain character, right, for a long time.
Yeah.
You think you're that person. I think trauma really like lifts the veil and reveals who you are at your core. Then you realize like how much of your own identity you constructed and how much of it is like actually you.
So often it's to protect you from pain, right? So like, I was angry. Mine was rage. Mine would just be like masked in this idea of I'm going to protect myself through violence. I was never violent to people. It was just in my body.
Mine was actually, I've realized, which is crazy to say as someone who's like very extroverted and confident, mine was feeling inadequate.
Really?
It was inadequacy, which I still suffer with a little bit. My inner voice so many times, which is bad actually because it shows a lack of gratitude. I'm just like, wow, you're so stupid, you've achieved nothing.
What's that compared to? Or is it an inner dialogue with yourself of like where you want to end up to?
My cousin actually, I'm really close to, he was telling me the other day, he was like, it's a double-edged sword because maybe the reason you're able to do so much and like be successful in different things is because you're always telling yourself, you're a piece of shit. But then at the same time,
sometimes.
It is, but at the same time it's not. Because you have to take stock and be grateful, right? I think ambition is a good thing, but you can take it too far. I think that's why they say a lot of like super high achievers, which I don't claim to be at all, they're like deeply insecure people, and actually they're driven by their insecurities to become successful. But at the end, they don't taste the sweetness of their success at all.
Everyone else sees it except for them.
Exactly.
Gratitude is
huge, man.
a huge lesson that I'm trying to teach myself.
In Arabic, in Arabic.
Yeah. What weight are you?
I don't know. You
okay.
I'll back it.
We'll just warm up with like 40.
Yeah, sweet.
This one we do 5 sets of 5.
Okay.
And then everything else is 2 sets of 8.
So you know how you were saying about anger always being like you're quite an angry kid.
Maybe frustration, not like.
Frustration manifests as anger.
Yeah, as anger.
Yeah. Would you get into fights and stuff a lot?
Not really. Not like I had and I have.
Yeah.
It's funny. I have nightmares of one of them quite often. I could have really hurt the person and I could have really hurt myself.
Yeah.
And honestly, like there is times where I think about like there's something looking out for me.
Oh.
I'm a very lucky person and happened to me where I'm really lucky there.
Yeah, I know, same bro.
So,
but there's always a reason for it. There's always wisdom to it, right?
I mean, I've learned from it. I've never really got in a fight since.
Yeah.
Which I'm really blessed about.
Jeez, look at that form. Look at that form.
I had like quite a traumatic experience when I was a child. I
think I read about it in your book. And how old were you?
I was like 7.
Okay.
So basically, I've had an episode of like sexual
harassment.
Assault, yeah.
Was that
which surfaced when I was 17.
Okay. So being grown up, you realize how common that is.
Yeah.
Which is fucked.
It's crazy.
And it's funny because so comedians and satirists, they make jokes about things for a certain reason. And I heard Dave Chappelle make a joke about, we just have to awkwardly pretend this hasn't happened and we just have like awkward family parties. It's a very tricky topic because it's one of those that everyone always avoids and shuts out.
It's really common with women. Yeah. But it's way more common than we think with men as well. Yeah. And kids and boys.
Yeah. Because kids are just as, well, they're as vulnerable as it gets. Yeah. And I think the thing with men that have experienced assault as children will never ever talk about it. Most of them will never ever talk about it. But it will manifest in so many different ways in their lives. There's a lot of shame as well, right? So
and it made me very confused about my sexuality for a really long time.
Really?
You're exposed to sexuality at such a young age that you're like...
It messes you up, right?
Completely. Yeah. And it's something that me and my therapist are working on now.
Yeah. Were you quite quickly open about it with your therapist? Was that the first person you told?
I was dating someone...
You told that?
Whose mum was a therapist.
Oh my goodness.
So I told her...
Did she become your therapist?
No. That's like the most unethical.
Oh yeah, I was going to say.
That's easy, man. It's lightweight, baby.
Feels good on the back.
Yeah.
I never do it, but it feels good.
I like trap bar as well. Was that working or?
It's fine, we can add more.
Yeah.
What would you like to add?
I reckon we do a 20 and then a 10.
Okay.
This is pure strength. You're working on strength alone here.
Wait, 20 and a 10? Or,
yeah.
Oh, there's some there. So going back to would you say that was your first, you think, traumatic event that you could I'm not saying first traumatic event, but that you can relay a lot of these feelings back to with retrospect?
Yeah. I think one of them was, and not any fault of their own, the feeling of abandonment as a 12-year-old that I don't think I really realized until a couple of years ago. Yeah. I have this real fear of abandonment that's only really been brought up whilst having a girlfriend. Yeah. Like me and Jess had this beautiful girlfriend and who's taught me so much about myself and my relationship with myself, but also with my family and accepting love. I'm really bad at accepting love.
Yeah.
I'm very good at giving it.
Yeah. Because do you know what that is? A lot of it is you don't feel worthy to receive love, but you feel like you should be the one dishing out, Yeah. I have that in different ways.
Really?
A lot actually. I don't know why. In a small way is I'm really bad at receiving gifts.
Really?
I love giving gifts.
That's funny.
But I'm like, oh, thank you. Yeah. But I love giving. I love to give gifts.
Yeah.
But I feel bad that someone has spent time and energy and money on me. Yeah. But I'd like it makes me happy to do it the other way.
It's funny, isn't it?
Yeah. Again, it's the inadequacy thing. Do you think that experience amongst that has impacted your relationships that you've had throughout your life?
100%.
So romantic as well as otherwise?
Yeah, I mean, it like drove a huge wedge between me and my mum.
Really?
I was a big mama's boy as a kid. And my family didn't really understand it, but it really drastically changed at one point, and now it's pretty apparent why.
Yeah.
And I think subconsciously I probably blamed...
Your parents?
Possibly.
I think that's normal because
you're protectors, right?
They're your protectors, and it's like I wasn't protected.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that, man.
It's come up in... I think it's come up in so many different things as well.
Yeah.
There's ways it's come up with Jess, there's ways it's come up with like my work, there's ways it's come up with like not feeling adequate, not feeling worthy. I don't think it's all necessarily from
How many reps?
5.
Okay, sick.
Nice.
That feels good, man.
Yeah?
My back feels really good.
That's flying up.
Yeah.
What is that, 100?
Yeah.
Should we try 130? Yeah?
Let's run it, man.
Let's do it.
Let's run it. And I guess making it broader, we'll start specific, but I want to know about how like your mental health challenges in general have impacted your relationships.
Oof. So I tried, basically what happened was when I left school, I was really confused onto like where to go with my life. And I moved to LA and was doing a film course, and I like basically tried to commit suicide when I was 18. The sexual harassment trauma had just like surfaced, and I was so confused. I didn't know what to do with myself. And I basically found myself in a psychiatric ward when I was 18.
Were you sectioned by someone?
By the US government, yeah. Wow. It was wild, yeah. Have you ever watched Bird Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah. I felt like I was in that film. It was crazy. And it did wonders because one, I realized I had it so much better off than so many other people. Like my mental state was very frazzled, but like I was pretty okay compared to a lot of other people.
How long were you in there?
12 days.
Wow.
It was mad, excuse the pun.
Are you comfortable talking about it or not?
Yeah.
Well, that flew up.
Yeah, it was good.
It's obviously incredible to see like how much progress you've made since then.
Yeah, it was. But then I found a therapist, which saved my life.
Had you ever been to therapy before then?
I had, but I could wrap them around my little pinky.
Yeah, I know that, yeah.
They had no idea. And then I met this therapist who I still speak to today.
Okay.
13 years later.
Wow.
And she completely saved my life. She saw me for who I was, and it was the first time that none of the blanket or the shield that I was putting up meant a thing. Like she saw me for who I was, and she loved me for who I was, and accepted me for who I was, and took so much blame off me.
Wow.
Like as a kid, I was in and out of like suspensions. I was very close to being expelled like numerous of times, and it was always my fault. And I was just like, I don't really get why.
Yeah, no one's listening to me and how I'm feeling.
And
feeling unheard. It's actually, I'm sure we're going to come on to that later when we talk about some of the other things, but how, if you don't mind me asking, how 18 years old to try and commit suicide is obviously very, it's crazy, bro.
It's dark.
How were you with family at the time? Were you alone?
I was alone.
How did you?
It was a knife. I slit my wrist. Yeah. And a friend found me and called an ambulance. Looking back on it, it was a cry for help.
Wow,
I mean, I know it was a cry for help. I didn't do it hard enough to kill myself. I just didn't know what to say.
Bro, the kind of schools that we went to, it's scary how common that was.
Yeah.
How often like I'd see it as well.
Yeah. Self-harm is huge.
It's huge, and especially now, like you worry about, imagine that was then, 12 years ago. Yeah. Kids now, like, the cry for help.
Yeah. And they've got access to the internet, which only like exacerbates that. Like, especially online bullying.
Yeah.
Like, I was lucky, like I was never bullied at school.
Yeah. That might have been like the sports and the...
Yeah. Also being an Arab probably helped as well. Up. Yeah, boy. Easy. This is 140 now, I think. Yeah, it'll be 140. And I think that's our fourth set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good though, it actually feels good, man.
Right?
It feels really good. Do you feel now like empowered that you can talk about these experiences? Or do you still have a variety of associated feelings?
It doesn't make me who I am. I'm not the person who was abused. I'm not the person who I thought I was abandoned.
Yeah.
I'm not the person who tried killing himself. It's a part of me, and I'm not afraid to talk about it.
Yeah.
There's times where I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah. Like, wait, come on. Bismillah. Nice. Oh, easy. That was nice.
Yeah, man. There was times where I thought I maybe held on to it too much. And I'm trying to find the balance of like accepting it, letting it go, moving on, and not, like, because it comes up in my art. I'm trying for it not to define me. And I think, whereas I'm so proud of myself to be able to speak about it, there was probably times where maybe it was
shameful.
Who I was.
Oh, okay.
And that comes back to like, I'm actually really glad I have all of these life experiences because it makes me who I am today, but it's not who I am.
Yeah.
It makes me who I am, but it's not who I am.
Yeah, I can understand. I can understand that description.
But I speak about it. I don't speak about it to anyone and everyone. But it comes up in my book. It comes up in my relationships. Not often, but enough.
Because the reason I ask as well, just on the way here, I was listening to a podcast, and the guy, he was talking about how men are not incentivized to express themselves emotionally, which is why we have so much emotional vacancy and trauma in men. Because you're always spoon-fed an idea of masculinity, which served a particular time, right? And I think men are told how they should feel, but also you hear all of these stories about, and that's not to say that men need to become really like emotion means different things, right? But men are incentivized to show that they can harbor like traumatic events and just handle it, right? So they do that, but then it expresses itself differently. The body keeps a score, or there's a lot of anger in the world, right? There's a lot of evil men.
Probably because of a lot of trauma.
Exactly. Well, funnily enough, obviously no excuses for this khanzir, but Netanyahu, I think his brother was killed in an airplane crash, right?
I'm not sure.
Or
I don't know.
Something of those sorts, which has meant that he's had this vested hatred that he's now like just like spreading onto the world. Exactly. And you just think, fuck, man. Imagine if
you went to therapy.
Exactly, man.
Imagine if you lifted up some weights. Bro. I don't know. It's like the word "man up" is, I think, one of the most ugly.
It's actually mad toxic, isn't it?
It's so toxic. Yeah. It's ugly.
Yeah.
It's ugly because if we're not allowed to feel, then what do we do with it? Because it doesn't just disappear.
Yeah.
That feeling doesn't just go away.
Yeah. It's so weird because, in the last 4 years, I've cried a bit, but only once or twice in front of anyone. Yeah. And like but I'll find there's been moments where I've had private incidents where I've been like, I really need to cry right now. And like, this is a great opportunity, and I'll randomly bawl out, and then afterwards, I feel amazing. Yeah. But I'm like, I needed the privacy to cry. Yeah. Which is mad, isn't it? And I don't know why or how that.
Society.
Yeah, man.
So much. I mean, personally, for me, like, it's not sexy for a man to cry.
Yeah, bro.
It's not acceptable.
And the thing is, I still harbor some of those emotions in myself.
Yeah, same.
Where I'm like, come on, man. Yeah. Like, just stop being so emotional. Yeah. Like, there's an element of like, just you're annoying to be around. Yeah, exactly. And I have that myself.
Yeah, same.
So it's a weird paradox. There's a funny. I'm clearly avoiding the set. There's a funny incident. I remember not long after my mum passed away. Yeah. Man, like I needed to cry that day, and I was out cycling. I got into cycling. It was like lockdown period. Everyone was biking around, and I remember I was cycling, and it just started pissing down with rain. And I remember thinking, if I cry now, no one's gonna know. And I was bawling out. I was like, oh, I miss my mom, miss that. And like, it was in public. Yeah. Because it was raining so much, no one could tell.
There was a mask.
Crazy, isn't it? I look at that now and I laugh. I'm like, that's hilarious.
It's also beautiful.
Yeah.
I think there's a real thing about being outdoors in nature. Yeah. And then also physical. Like, sometimes
when there's like a build-up of emotions and energy,
Yeah.
I'll like go for a run and I'll cry. Because like,
Bro, I hear it, man.
there's
I hear it.
there's like, I don't know, there's a balance that comes out of it. I don't know.
I feel like you're probably having to deal with a lot of the things that you're ignoring.
Yeah,
Okay.
easy. Up, hey, 3 more. Yes, bro.
One of the things that we later realized that we shared amongst other things is we've both lost a parent, which is such a unique emotional experience, which I found that only other people that have lost a parent can fully empathize with.
Yeah.
Everyone else can feel sorry for you. They can feel sad for you. How long ago did you lose your dad?
4 years.
Really? Mine's 4 years in 2 weeks.
Really?
Yes. Today I just realized when I was texting you earlier, today would have been my mum's 50th birthday.
Today?
Yeah.
Wow.
Mad, isn't it? Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, thank you, my bro. Yeah, today would have been her 50th birthday.
How do you feel?
It's crazy. I feel probably like, I don't know, vacant.
Yeah?
I think I know why or what I've been doing. It's the worst way to bring that one up.
Do you think this was 20 kilos? Maybe not, you know. Whatever, anyways. We might have been doing a little bit less than we thought, but...
No, that's fine.
It's my birthday on Friday. On Tuesday.
Oh man, happy birthday, bro.
Thanks, man.
You're turning 30.
31.
31.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, so I think 4 years into grief, it's almost like there's a different pattern each year.
Yeah.
I think the last couple of years, this year especially, I think I'm well into the avoidance. I think I've realised. I'm avoidant about that loss at the moment, and I'm like admitting it to myself because I was extremely close to my mum.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I remember you saying.
yeah, I was extremely close, and I think I'm recognising that I'm avoidant at the moment with that because it's little things like her picture will pop up.
Yeah.
I'll just flick past it, and I feel so bad. But I'm like, I love you, Mum. Like, I just don't have the space to like sit with this right now. And like, I feel so bad. I'll pray for her. I'll think about her. I'll do all of the things. I'll do all of the objective hoop jumping. Yeah. What's up?
We were looking for like boxes to like basically stack onto. This one's tough, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I've realised that I'll do all of the objective things you should do. I'll always do that for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Pray for my mum. I'll give charity on her behalf. I think about her all the time.
Yeah.
But I think I've made my life so busy that I don't have to sit with the fact that like,
there's a void.
And it was funny because it was actually a friend recently that just picked up on the fact they're like, you're missing your mum a lot today, aren't you?
Wow.
I was like, I don't even talk to you about her. How do you know that? And that day I was like, oh my God, yeah. And I hadn't gone to see her grave in a long time. And the next day I went to see her grave, sat next to her for a bit. And I was like, I haven't done this in ages.
Yeah.
Because it's easier not to. But again, the thing that I was listening to is, it's a juvenile response that all men have.
Yeah.
Which is perceived as power, but it's actually incredibly weak. Oh, I shouldn't say weak. Weak is probably not the right word. It's the easier thing to do to be like, I don't have space for this right now, and push it away.
Push it away. Because you'll keep pushing it away.
And
it's easier, right?
Yeah.
Easier.
Yeah.
There's, I've definitely seen it within myself as well.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a coping mechanism. Like, feelings are hard.
Yeah.
And I think there's definitely a conversation to have where like, you know what's really interesting is athletes, like really high level athletes, sometimes gives themselves days to feel.
Yeah, I know, man.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah, I know,
It's
man.
like, right, today is my emotional day.
Yeah.
That's crazy to think, but like, even just allowing ourselves to like, okay, like, yeah, fine, we're busy, but today, like, I'm gonna listen to my body or my soul and be like, I'm gonna be sad today.
Yeah.
And it's okay to be sad. Because I think what I've really realized is any emotion, bar anger, is completely acceptable. Because anger is normally just...
You become foolish, right? You're overtaken by your emotion. So...
this is just a step up and then...
Right.
And then a slow down.
Well, I'm going to struggle with this.
It's hard. I'll take off the weight for you at first. All right. Just so that you can get like used to it. Yeah, I hear it, man.
But the listening is really difficult.
Yeah.
Like listening to yourself. Being like, okay, today, I'm gonna be fucking sad today.
Yeah.
Or for an hour. Like, I'm not gonna lie, today I was feeling quite down.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really missing my dad.
Yeah.
And it's an image. I've never done this before. I got in my bath, like completely dressed, no water in it.
and I just cried for about 5 minutes.
Really?
And then I got up and I was like, okay, that was my 5 minutes. I was like, right, okay, cool. I felt bad for that hour or whatever it was, the lead up, and I moved on. And I feel great now.
Do you know what the craziest thing is? I know exactly what you're describing. Oh my God, in 2021, which is the year my mum passed away, I wrote about this actually, which was such a strange experience. I would like have a massive cry alone somewhere and then just like dust myself off and feel so much better and then carry on with my day. And like it would genuinely like feel incredible, like you needed that to come out.
Crying's beautiful, man.
Yeah, it's mad. Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's so funny because I think we were talking earlier about when it comes to grief, particularly the grief of losing a parent, like your whole universe changes. Your whole like construction of the world, like everything you know, everything you understand to be reality has changed. So which is why I always say that when it comes to grief, I could only ever fully find comfort, like 100% comfort in other people that had lost a parent.
That's funny, isn't it?
And it's so crazy because you're one of the people that I connected with over this, but the year after my mum passed away, my barber, who's been my barber ever since, I sat in his chair and he lost his dad a few years before that. And I don't know how we got into the topic. I think we were just talking about it, getting to know each other.
You can feel it normally.
And you know the men and their barbers are like, it's that safe space, right? And there was a moment where I told him that, I just lost my mum, you know, like I've just come back from Gardens of Peace, where she's buried. Beautiful. He was like, my dad's buried there.
Whoa.
And there was a moment where we looked at each other in the mirror, and then it was like, oh, you too.
Yeah.
And it was like, I know how you feel. And the thing is, like, I know he knows how I feel. Like, I know you know, because it's so hard to explain to anyone that hasn't lost a parent what that experience is like. And you almost feel a bit awkward trying to explain it to anyone. So you just don't.
Yeah. There's no words for it.
Yeah.
There's really no words for it.
So am I just...
put your one foot up.
Yeah.
And then...
Step up.
It's just a step up, but then you want to control the down.
Yeah.
And you don't want to like bounce.
Yeah.
So you can either like touch your toe and then come back up.
Yeah.
And you kind of want to load this foot.
I might end up bouncing because I've got really bad balance.
Yeah.
So do you reckon without the shoes you'll be better?
Yeah, because they've got quite a high platform on it. So they're running shoes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my ankle mobility is just shite. So I think this is something that I will struggle with anyway.
This will help then.
Yeah, this is exactly what I needed to be doing.
Nice. Slower.
There's no way I'm going to be able to go down slowly.
No.
That's as slowly as I can go down.
Cool. I found this really difficult to speak about though.
Yeah.
Until recently, I was speaking to my partner's sister, Shannon.
Yeah.
So my partner lost both of their parents.
Really?
Yeah.
Jess has lost both?
Yeah. And unfortunately, unfortunately, a big part of our relationship was
about losing parents.
Was the understanding of where each other were at with that loss.
Did you think you trauma bonded?
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But I was speaking to Shannon about this.
Yeah.
And shout out Shannon, man. Like, she's one of the most beautiful people I've ever met. Her understanding of things that I've been through were really similar as well, where because so her mum was ill and my dad was ill as well. Yeah. There was a bit of relief as well when they passed.
Your dad had Alzheimer's, right?
My dad had Alzheimer's, yeah. So like, I've never really been able to admit it to anyone until recently, where like, as a man and as a son, I was able to think about myself for the first time in years and prioritize myself. Yeah. Because so much of my energy was consumed by my dad and taking care of him, and maybe not allowing myself to like move forward with my life because I was waiting for something to happen to him.
Yeah, I've got you.
But that void still exists, and I think what was interesting speaking to her about it was those two emotions can coexist.
Yeah.
That deep sadness, but then also the kind of relief that they're resting.
Yeah, I hear it, man.
Was your mum ill?
So she became ill quite quickly, which was because she was very young.
How old?
She passed away when she was 46. Wow. Yes, and she had me when she was 19. Wow. So we were like, she kind of grew up raising me, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And the thing is, she was healthy.
Yeah.
Her whole life. Kept herself healthy, never drank, never smoked, you can imagine. Actually really controlled her diet, wasn't like a big foodie. But you just don't control these things. But obviously, ultimately, I believe obviously Allah knows best, innit? Like that's the wisdom I completely trust. And I've seen lots of wisdom in that loss.
How do you think it's shaped you as a person?
Oh, bro, entirely.
Yeah.
It's, we were talking about the body keeps the score. So my mum developed ovarian cancer, which is one of the more aggressive cancers, which we weren't to know. And then when I reflect on her life, she never really had depressive symptoms. She never really suffered from any depression, anxiety. She used to always say, "Oh, my son has that," when she talked about anxiety.
Really?
Because she was a massive listener, but she took on a lot of other people's traumas, and I wonder whether her body ended up keeping that score.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people offloaded onto her. A lot. Friends, family, the kids. And she never really complained about her life.
Really?
Never really complained. She just got on.
Because there's that misconception that it's complaining, right? It's not complaining, it's sharing. Yeah. I mean, there's definitely times of complaint.
Again, I don't want to talk about any sort of pseudo meta science or anything, but when you think about a woman, their ovaries, where life comes from, that part of the body keeping the score. If she was the one listening to everyone's problem, she did it. I used to ask her, I was like, Mum, everyone comes to you for this stuff. Who do you talk to?
Yeah, I don't need it.
She was
I'm
just
good.
I'm okay.
I'm good.
And then she was a religious woman who would be like, I talk to Allah. Which that has given me huge comfort, right?
Yeah.
But I was like, wow, everyone, including me, if we just offload on you, you make us feel good. Where does all of that go?
Yeah.
I'm curious to see your experience with this as well. The day when my mum was really unwell and I could tell that things were quite bad, it was middle of lockdown. I remember having this experience because I was taking care of her with my family, but it was just my family, my immediate family. I remember walking to the park. I used to do this walk with her every morning. I remember walking to the park and I was disorientated, and I remember sitting down going, how is the world still spinning when my whole world has stopped spinning? And I've heard that described quite a bit. But I remember watching people walking past me going, you do not understand what's happening to me right now. Yeah. It's you can't explain that. Yeah. When all of that was happening, I was there was strangers walking past me, and I felt those film scenes when people are motion blurred. Yeah. I felt like that, and I was like, why aren't you stopping? And why aren't you helping me? And I was just dead silent in the middle, thinking, how the hell is the world still spinning when my whole world is just inside out? Yeah. And it's such a crazy experience. I remember that so vividly.
Yeah. My experience with the day, the lead up to my dad dying, I was drinking a lot. Yeah. And it was similarly during COVID as well. And I started feeling his presence. So I was in France. Yeah. And he was in Beirut, and I started feeling his presence in the room, when I was sleeping, because I was sleeping in his bed. Yeah. And then when we had a conversation one day when I forgave him. Yeah. And I forgave myself. Yeah. For me and my dad had quite difficult. Yeah. There was deep love for each other, but we struggled communicating. Yeah. We didn't really know how to communicate to each other. Yeah. There was a faith that I was going to be okay, which I really I found really special, and he knew the work he had done for me and my family was adequate, or not adequate, but put us on a really beautiful ledge. Yeah. But the day he died, it was the most pristine day I've ever been in. Yeah. It was
incredible.
Insane.
Alhamdulillah, yeah.
And my mum called me, telling me that my dad passed away, because it was taking a few days for him to sort of pass. And this gust. No, I'm done. We're done. Oh, this gust of wind went straight through the house, and we live on top of a valley. Yeah. And at the other side of the valley, this huge thunderstorm just formed the minute I put down the phone. And I had a few friends over, and they were all looking at me like, that's your dad. Yeah. And then I went to his grave a few months later. Crazy, right?
Yeah.
I went to his grave in Lebanon. I wasn't able to bury him. I went to Lebanon, I touched his grave for the first time, and a crack of lightning.
Yeah, bro.
Sorry, a crack of thunder hit, and then we looked up and there was no clouds.
Oh, wow.
Nothing.
Wow.
Nothing.
Yeah.
But very similarly, like, my whole world stopped and all I could think about was myself.
Yeah.
Which was tough.
Yeah, I can, it's crazy, right? I remember, I'll never forget that day either. So mum, she became, what are you doing?
Incline.
Yes.
Dumbbell.
Finally, my exercise. My mum passed away in my arms.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Which was actually like, I'm so blessed. Again, similar to you, it was such a beautiful day. The next one, when it all happened and how it all happened. Because she was so young and also so healthy, apart from obviously the fact that she'd been diagnosed with terminal cancer, there was obviously a lot of denial generally, not from her.
Yeah.
But I'd have private conversations with her because I was with her the whole time. I was like, and it's just, imagine having to say to your mum, like, if it gets to it, do you want to go to a hospice? And my mum was so kind. She never wanted to burden anything. She just said to me, like, if it gets too much for you, then okay. But I knew she just wanted to stay home.
Yeah.
So she actually probably passed by looking at her physically sooner than you'd expect.
Yeah.
But I think she was just ready. She was like, if this is going to happen, I'm ready to go. Which in itself is like a huge blessing that she was ready and accepting. So I remember the morning, right up until she died, she never lost her cognition.
Wow.
And she never lost any of her faculties. So she maintained a lot of dignity, which was, I think, important to her as a young, like as a woman, right? Who isn't like elderly in any way. And I was really happy with that. Like she herself went to the bathroom the night before she passed away. I had to help her walk.
Yeah.
I had to help her walk there, which was crazy because she walked the most out of anyone in our family. So I remember I walked her there and she was fine, she communicated everything. She never lost her cognition, which again, now I reflect and I'm like, I'm so happy that, because why, I'm glad I didn't have to see any indignity just to have her for a few more days or a few more weeks and months, right? And I know that's a blessing because that's not, most people don't get that, right? We spoke in the morning and I remember because we'd all in our family, we were taking turns to sleep in the bed next to her because I was just like, I don't want her to be alone at any moment, right?
It's beautiful.
So then I think it was my turn to sleep next to her that night. And then my brother came into the room. My dad and my sister came after. Like it was lockdown, so it was all like, it wasn't like a normal routine. She was fine that morning. And then the ambulance carers came just to check. They just come and check because we were at home. And they like kind of turned her because, she's not as mobile, just to see if she's got any sores or anything. And then they like checked her bloods and it like suddenly just dropped.
Wow.
And she looked fine. She just goes, oh, Abu. She used to call me Abu, which is actually means dad.
Yeah,
Baba.
Abu.
But it's like a term of endearment.
Yeah.
And
We do it in Lebanon, like Baba.
Baba, yeah. Exactly. She used to call me Abu. She was like, oh, like she spoke. She was like, oh, I'm just feeling a bit short of breath. They checked her bloods and it suddenly dropped. And then they kind of looked at us and went, oh. And then they looked at my mum and went, we're really happy we got to see you today. And I'm like, oh, what does this mean? And then you kind of know. Yeah. But then obviously the next few hours we were with her, she was fine. She never lost consciousness, but she's sort of like in and out of what's coming. And I think just at that moment when it had come around to her time of passing, I went behind her to sort of like hold her. My siblings were like at the bottom so she could see them. I felt the moment where like the soul leaves the body, right? Because it was that experience in itself was like, she sort of just went and then sort of like rested back onto me. And that moment in and of itself is just, it's like you've experienced the whole universe inside you. Like that moment of like, oh my God, that just happened. And then when it's your parent, you're like, oh my God. But everything about that day is crazy. I can describe it so objectively, like I'm describing it to you in a completely unemotional way. Because it was very beautiful. But it was very beautiful. Everything about that day was very beautiful. And then it was like, that has just happened. Yeah. Like, that's just happened. Now,
what do I do with myself?
And then that's when the abyss starts.
Yeah.
It's like, that's just happened. But actually, for the first couple of days, we were in the eye of the storm. Because I remember looking at my brother, and he was like, I feel completely fine. Yeah. Like I thought I'd be really sad. Yeah. But what you don't realize is you're completely in the middle of the storm, and it just hasn't.
Just takes one step out, and then.
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Man. That was beautiful, bro.
Thank you, bro.
it, as you said before, it's indescribable. Like you can't, words don't make it like do anything justice within it. The void that it leaves is like, it's unmatched.
Yeah.
And we have very different circumstances where my father was a lot older.
Yeah.
And my dad was 60 when he had me, so he was...
Yeah, I remember you saying.
88?
Yeah.
When he passed?
Yeah.
87?
Yeah.
I look bad now. I don't know how old my dad was. But it also, it gives, very similar to you, like that sort of the arc and the circle of life where it's like, okay, this is what happens. And you do have to move on, and it can't be who you are for the rest of your life. And like, my relationship with my father taught me so much, also left me so much to learn about myself and learn on my own. And I think as men, we're like put on this world and we're like, right,
bro,
go.
So this is crazy because this is live and direct. It shows how much I've been avoiding talking about it. There was no purpose to that story, I realized.
I just needed to talk about it.
I didn't get through any arc. I just told you what happened.
Yeah.
And that's because I haven't spoken about it for a long time. And I realized as I was telling you, I was like, why am I saying this? And then I realized at the end, I was like, I just needed to...
Say it.
Yeah, so just because I've been in this avoidant arc for some time.
How long do you reckon it's?
My avoidance around it is probably the last year and a bit, with varying degrees of intensity.
Yeah.
Like the whole, like, I'll see a picture, I won't stop and look. Yeah. I'll just be like, oh, I love you, Mum, I'll look at this later. So I realized as I was going, I was like, why am I saying this? And it shows you, it's crazy, isn't it? Like, it doesn't, some of it is completely non-rational, but these are the things with
it doesn't have to be rational.
Emotions. But do you know, the most beautiful thing I've heard about grief, the experience of grief, is it's unexpressed love. And it's like, whoa, that makes a lot of sense.
Makes a lot of sense.
Right?
You good?
Yeah, I got it.
Wow, I've never thought of it like that. Probably why I had so much grief with my dad.
Yeah.
It's like one of the big things for me was I felt like my dad didn't know how much I loved him.
Yeah, bro, you've told me about that before.
Which is a really difficult
thing.
Especially I still don't think.
Because it's Arab men as well, right?
And my dad was amazing. He was very Arab in points and senses, but like he was a very emotional man, and a lot of that emotion came out as anger, unfortunately. But if I wanted to tell him I loved him, I could have. And like he wasn't afraid of it. I just didn't know how to say it. I didn't know how to express it to him. He was actually on the exterior a very hard and like prickly man, but deep down he was a fucking teddy bear, and all he cared about was family and himself a little bit, but family. But yeah,
there is a lot of guilt associated with like, if only you could see me now and what I'm like, it's because of you. Yeah. You know what I mean?
100%.
But yeah, I think it was, who's that Spider-Man? Andrew Garfield talks about.
That was quick.
He's spoken about
Yeah, he does. He lost his mum.
Okay.
And he was saying like, if I cry, like it's fine, like it's okay, you don't need to think. And he was like, the sadness experienced through grief is basically like just pent up love with nowhere to go. And that's what it is. So a lot of this is just love with nowhere to go. And then I guess you find different, like with you through your poetry, you've been able to express it. But a lot of the time, it is just, that is the best way to describe grief for a parent. It is just unexpressed love.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And you're just there like, who am I? Because you can't give it to anyone other than your parents. Because it's a very specific type of love, right? And I think for you, for what happens to a lot of people who have an extended period of their parents being unwell, is you grieve twice. Yeah. You're grieving whilst they're alive because
you're watching them die in front of you.
And then you're grieving after they're gone.
It was more violent whilst he was alive, for sure. I was trying to kill myself at the same time through drugs and booze and not like facing, not like there was such a there was at a very early age I knew that I was going to lose my father when I was young, and I had this internal battle for such a long time that do I keep it at an arm's length and his loss will hurt less, or do I become close to him and lose everything? And I decided subconsciously or consciously to keep him at an arm's length, and both happened.
Yeah, you can't.
So like,
there's no escaping.
There's no escaping, and I I do beat myself up about it often, but I speak to my therapist about it, and it was like, that was the capacity that I was able to do at that point. Because now I've been able to focus on myself and find time for myself to heal through a lot of the things that I've been through. And I should have been there more, or I would like to have been there more. My mum constantly thanks me for what I did around the house and for her and whatever, but I think as a son, I like, similarly to your feeling within your work, it's like, I could have done more. I could have given more. I could have told them I loved them more.
Same, bro. You never realize how temporal that experience is
until you lose it.
Exactly. So it's the other funny thing is, I'll get it. Yeah, the funny thing is, it's like there's a few things that you know to be reality. It's like, I know the sky is blue and the sun shines and it's wet when it rains, and I know that my parents love me. And then when you lose a parent, you're like, one of those realities of life is just not there now. Good. Come on. Nice. There we go. Push. That's it. Are we just doing 2 sets on this?
Yeah, but we can do another one.
Alright. Last time I was in this gym, we hit the 46s. So people are going to be like, this guy's got weaker, man. So, just under my elbows. Yeah. That's it. Oh, my wrist.
Easy. Does that say 30 or 40?
50, no?
Yes. One more.
Alright.
One more. Easy. Up. Hey.
Cheers, bro.
Damn, Daniel.
Damn. I watched the other vlog, innit? I did more. I realized just over a year ago that I really hadn't made the progress I thought I had.
Yeah.
So I burned out. When people say burnout, they're like, oh, you got a bit tired. No, I clinically burned out.
Yeah.
I was signed off from work.
Wow.
And I thought it was because I was doing too much. Turns out it was grief related. And I'd ignored it so much by making myself so busy that, so I'm fine, I'm busy. Like, what are you talking about? I'm busy. I've got to do this, I've got to be here. What are you talking about? I don't have time for this. And then obviously, your body eventually makes you stop.
Up, doesn't it?
And that was crazy because
do you ever experience panic attacks?
Very rarely, luckily.
That's your body telling you need to slow down a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Calm your nervous system.
Exactly, yeah, and I can completely see that. But this one was, I realized later on when I had a slow cognitive decline.
Okay, wow.
For a bit, which is for someone that uses their brain so much or has to use their brain so much. I was like losing words off the tip of my tongue, short-term memory loss. I'd be like working and I'd be in conversation. I'd be like, you know that, and I'm like, I know this word.
Why isn't it coming?
Why is it not coming out my mouth? So those kind of things. And then it all came to a head. And when I went to see the doctor, they were like, it's dangerous because you can't see it. Yeah. Even people around you won't really be able to see it unless they really, really know you. Even then they might not see it because you're really high functioning, which a lot of people that burn out are. But the recovery, when you finally stop, is quite long. And that told me that, bro, you haven't made the progress you think you have. You just got really good at ignoring how you feel. So since then I was like, no, like, I want to make progress, but like I want to be honest with myself about it. Like I am, when I say I'm fine, I am fine. I miss my mum, I love my mum. I'm going to miss my mum for the rest of my life. Of course. But I want to be okay with like, the ups and downs without doing the easy thing, which is just being like, I don't have time for this, man. Someone said busy is the new rich, but it's just the easy way of not dealing with what you need to deal with.
My issue was I was too much in my head. I was focusing on the pain and the issues and the void and the gap. And when I found things that I was really passionate about, and that also links with my ADHD clinically, I was able to set things aside and be like, right, okay, let me focus on something that is important. This is really, really important, and this is really, really important. Yeah. And then give myself time to go and think about it. And I've caught myself at times where I'm like, oh, I'm feeling bad. Yeah. Let me go and clean the kitchen. Yeah. And I'm like halfway there. I'm like, nope, go sit back down.
Yeah, I do that so much. I do that sometimes when I'm procrastinating. Rather than deal with the thing, which I guess the most extreme form is to deal with how you're feeling. I'm like, let me go tidy up. Let me go.
It's really good to go tidy up. It's also really good to sit down and feel it, and like my answering my own question, like finding that balance with feeling, but then also being able to like, okay, feel half an hour, a day, 2 weeks, whatever it is. Hopefully not 2 weeks. 2 weeks is a bit too long. But whatever my body and my mind and my soul need to understand why I'm feeling like that, and then right, okay, boom, go. Like start writing again, or go for a run, or carry on with work. Like, again, I think that I've learned a lot of that through the relationship with Jess. Like, Jess is an not overachiever, but she's such a high achiever. She's incredibly good at what she does.
She's channeled a lot of her
so much
pain, right?
And we're beautiful mirrors to each other, where I've learned so much from her through that, and I think slightly vice versa, where she's been able to understand that there's maybe things that she's put aside, and it's sometimes time to like confront it. And I think that's one of the most beautiful things about relationships, friendships, whatever, is we are mirrors to what each other need, and like we're embodiments of our story.
Yeah, bro.
And we're walking through, and we're just trying.
Yeah, bro. Which is what you realize a lot of the time.
We're all just trying.
It's so true.
Yeah.
Imagine how much more kindness would be in the world. I saw Omar doing this at Third Space, where we actually met, and I was like, this guy looks like a functional athlete. And he was just like, all he was doing was holding this weight. Like, imagine this is a dumbbell. A kettlebell. And he was holding it, and he was doing this, and I'm looking up at it, and he was sweating. I was like, why is this so hard?
It's hard.
But I'm gonna try it, and I've never tried it before, so I'm gonna try it. Mind out that I've got a bad wrist at the moment.
It's excuses.
Do you stare up at it?
Yeah.
Right.
Try and like limit the, like. Now press, bang.
Wait, or do you do it with both hands?
Nah, one.
All right, I'm gonna need to do it with my left.
Yeah. We'll bring it up. Just try and clean it. So.
Okay.
Bang, and then up with your knees.
Can't do that shit.
Nah. Yeah. And now press. Yeah. There we go.
Bro, this is harder than it looks.
Yes, bro.
Bro, this is hard, man.
Now you understand those beads of sweat.
Flip it up.
Core engaged. That's it. Keep the will to live. Yeah. 2 more steps. Bang. Done.
What the hell? That looks so easy. What the hell? I went for the lightweight thinking I'm going to do that in a bit. Bro, what the hell? That is so hard.
I mean, it's a new movement as well, so you're not used to it.
Are you holding your wrist straight? I had to switch my wrist as well. Bro, I think I've injured my other wrist. Fair, but look how easy you make it. And that's a heavier weight. This is why you need to stop doing bro split. You think you're strong. Your body's not functional. This will expose you. You made it look so easy.
Ain't nothing but a lightweight.
Oh my days. I find it hard just to walk like this. Bro, I was flipping worried it's because this wrist is the one that's injured, but that is my stronger side.
Yes, bro.
Flip it out. That felt more comfortable.
Yeah, you're used to it now.
Yeah.
Done.
Oh my days.
Sick, well done, bro.
Flipping out. That shouldn't be so hard.
I mean, you went like heavy.
Oh really?
The first time, yeah.
I have no idea. I have no bearing on the weight.
Like, yeah, you could have started with 16.
I have no idea what's heavy and what's not.
That's a good weight.
Yeah. I mean, it's good though. I'll try that again. Bring your friends, we'll train together, we'll go eat together, but actually like catch up properly through that whole experience as well. So today's actually our first one that we're shooting.
Yeah, it's fun.
What do you find out the lighting in the film?
Really good. This genius actually makes anything look good, to be fair. This guy, honestly. Small world, isn't it?
No. I was locked in, I was watching the whole video.
Was it?
Yeah.
The one, I think, was it about
You were
the...
walking,
Yeah, yeah.
and you were speaking about...
The don't let people convince you that...
about the 9 to 9.
Yeah. Do you know what the maddest thing is? That would have blown on Insta, but I deleted the video before putting it on Instagram.
How come?
I just accidentally deleted it.
Damn.
I was so dumb, but so I just left it on TikTok.
You can download it off TikTok though.
But then it has the metadata from TikTok, so it's mad. But yeah, we've just we finished up our gym session. We'll get some munch.
Do you know where we're going?
No, I saw some really cool Thai spot down the road. We'll get some good food.
So
yeah, man. Do you know what? Since I've been like vlogging and stuff, I always think in London everyone's a bit stush when you pull out a camera. Like I've vlogged abroad, everyone's like, yeah, man.
Yeah.
But in London recently, I bumped into so many strangers that are like, listen, don't worry about what anyone's saying, like encouraging me, because I don't actually love being in front of camera. I'm actually like quite nervous in front of camera, but I'm like forcing myself through it. But recently, every weekend I've been out, people are like, yo, just keep doing it, man.
Nice.
I'm like, okay, sick.
Should we go?
I'm just going to quickly pray Maghrib, and then I'll bounce. That's another thing Hassan was saying. I've got comfortable now. I just back it.
Pray everywhere.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, man, 100%.
I just back it now. Before I used to be a bit like, he's gonna.
Really?
Yeah, bro. That's actually since the grief more. That was one of the things we can chat about it when we're eating. Oh, is it? Oh wow. Oh wow. Oh,
Sick.
London is actually really. Like, it's really multicultural, really friendly, really open. That's why you see when all the riots and stuff happened, when they tried to bring it to London, it didn't run.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of London, because it's such a melting pot. But I'll quickly pray Maghrib and then we'll get some lunch.
Of course, man. No problem. You're welcome. Thank you, Baba. Welcome.
Should we shout out?
Iskele. We'll see, man. The food better slap.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good workout. We've worked up an appetite and we've come to get some munch. We had a bit of a drama because we needed to buy a new SD card, but we managed to find one. And then we were debating whether to go for Pan-Asian food, and Hass was just praying behind the scenes that because this guy does not like to try new food. Yeah, we're ready, right?
Yeah. Can we get the mixed grill?
Grill. Yes.
The lamb, and then the
Mixed grill and lamb cutlet or lamb chop, lamb shish.
lamb shish, and then Adana kofta as well. So the lamb kofta and the Adana kofta, it's only one skewer, right?
Small round ones. I don't know if it's a long cube. Mixed grill is
mixed
lamb chop and kofta and everything.
Okay, cool.
It's a nice piece.
Nice one. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're talking about how I deal with grief, or my outlet for grief.
Yeah.
I think I was saying this to you in the gym. I think I have this weird like experience right now where I'm realizing that I'm very avoidant about the grief, but not in like a way that it's like, oh my god, I'm like ignoring everything. I'm like kind of just parking it. And the healthy ways in which I deal with anything is I've always been quite a creative person. I've kind of parked that as well and lost that side of me. I used to do, so you said your sister's an artist, right? In school I got like an art scholarship.
Sick.
Yeah, just sacked it off, just left it never did it again after school.
Why is that?
Just when I was a kid, when you think about like when you used to be a weird little kid or when you were younger and stuff, I used to sit in my room and just like draw. Yeah. Did art GCSE or A level. Yeah. It's my only A star.
Is it?
Yeah, man.
That's fine.
Which is jokes. But then I did law.
Yeah.
Just kind of just sacked off art. But I've always like done creative things, I guess.
Would you say this is your outlet then?
Kind of, but that's why I'm like trying to find ways where it's not work.
Yeah.
So like, like the whole starting to vlog, starting to have these conversations, I guess creative communication and expression. But I think that would be me trying to paint up what I'm actually doing at the moment. And the reality of what I'm doing at the moment is just being really busy so as to ignore, oh, I'm so hungry.
Thank you. Perfect. Thank you very much.
Oh yeah.
Perfect.
Oh, this looks good, man.
Oh, wow. You slapped with this, bro. Could be.
So good. I would say, actually though, the thing what saved me is, and inspired by my mum, this is part of what I wanted to talk to you about as well, is I obviously became a lot more religious. Oh, terrible. Thank you.
Was religion like a thing in your household? Obviously, like your mum is religious. Was it like put onto you, or were you like given the space to kind of create your own relationship with it?
So we grew up in like a normal, good Muslim household. So yes.
Yeah.
It wasn't like imposed. It was more like it was taught. I would say in like a. So I never had a bad relationship with it. I know a lot of people say they have religious trauma and all this. Sure. Never.
Yeah.
But I would say, just through growing up in the West, I had like my own like experience of like how practicing I was or wasn't. And actually, it makes me think of my mum a lot because she was and if you knew my mum, she was very like the softest, most welcoming person. All of my friends that I knew, she used to feed everyone.
Yeah. Classic.
And she herself was very practicing. You'd never feel judged by her.
That's beautiful.
So I've obviously I've usually grown up as the only Muslim friend in any group.
Funny.
right? I'm most people's only Muslim friend, which is crazy, right?
Yeah.
And actually in my groups, I'm probably the only South Asian friend for a lot of people.
Wow.
So I'm like their access point. And naturally, I think I was probably influenced like by my environment a lot. And then I was like, my greatest influence in my life was my mom. And I remember thinking, how has this woman gone through what she's gone through and been so at peace with the whole thing? It was so inspiring, right? And I remember she used to be the only, like, not the only one, she said, we all prayed, we all like, we're in a good like Muslim household, but like she would like wake up on her own to pray. And I know she must have been praying for her kids to be like, I hope one day they find this. Yeah. She never lived to see it. So that's part of like the experience that me and my siblings, we talk about. Since mum has passed, we've all like become much stronger in our practice, and it probably saved, you know how you're talking about different things that saved me? It saved me 100%. Being able to understand what she was experiencing and also like where she is, where are we going? Like, that whole experience was a lot about like, what am I doing? Where am I going?
What's my path?
Yeah.
The topic around faith is incredibly inspiring, especially at the moment where like I grew up in a Muslim household, or well, I grew up in a Muslim community.
Yeah.
But Islam or religion in any sense wasn't really like pushed upon me or my siblings. And I, through like watching what's happening in Gaza and Palestine, like the amount of strength and power that is given to the people through faith has made me really understand what faith is. And it's the faith that like the path that we are on is the right path. Like it's the listening to your gut and feeling within yourself that there's a divinity in the way that you're going is so powerful. The conversation that I've had with myself after like losing my father and now watching what's happening in Palestine was like the greatest strength that the most beautiful thing that was ever bestowed upon me by my father was he knew I was going to be okay.
Yeah.
No matter what was going on, like he would have conversations with my mum. My mum would be like tearing her hair out and she was like, what is going on with this kid?
Yeah.
And my dad just
in a blind faith.
It'll be cool.
Yeah.
It's good. Like it's so powerful, and it's another reason to wake up in the morning. I have a really interesting relationship with religion, and I think my dad's teaching around it was if you're pushed to do anything, you will never find it yourself.
Yeah.
And he had a beautiful relationship with God where he would pray within himself and he would speak to God within himself. And I think I tend to follow in that path where we were saying earlier, like I'm a lucky man, and that luck sometimes feels like God, you know, like
it is it's God, right? So
I wouldn't call myself religious, but I find beauty in religion, and I'm trying to make my own relationship with it, and each day it changes, and each day comes with like power and strength within that decision.
So like with all of my friends, right? Like I said, I'm probably in a lot of my groups the only Muslim friend, and like it's a weird thing, but the nicest me, my cousin, who I'm very close to, my brother, like we all had like a real at the same time coming to strengthening our relationship with our faith around the same time, which was very beautiful. It helps. And there's something that we...
Sujuk.
Yes, perfect.
Thank you, bro.
And whenever we speak about like friends and stuff, we say, you know, like may Allah guide them, like, and keep you guide. Like, I hope you have that guidance. You know what I mean? And it's like almost like an expression of love for your friends.
100%.
But yeah, for me, I would say for anyone that's known me, that's probably the big thing that they were like, whoa, like that really anchored and changed me and was my coping. And for you actually, which is what I wanted to talk about as well, is obviously you're a poet.
Yeah.
And poetry was like an incredible way for you to channel your feelings, not just of grief, but like of all the things that you've been through.
It came up in therapy. My therapist asked me, what do you do to express? And I said, I run into people. It's through rugby. Like that was the only real way of like expressing my sort of my frustration and my anger. She asked like, okay, that's great for your body, but what about for your soul?
Yeah. And how old were you at this point?
I was 18.
Oh, wow.
And I grew up with dyslexia and ADHD, and it was a good, like, I love to learn, but I wasn't very good at school.
Yeah, okay.
And my therapist was like, you know, have you ever tried to draw?
How articulate you are. And...
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. But like, the turning point was, she was like, okay, how do you feel? I was like, I just don't know.
Yeah.
She's like, right, okay, go away.
Yeah.
Draw or write it down. I can barely draw a stick man.
Did you try?
To draw or to yeah, I'm stuck. So I just started writing, even though I was always told through dyslexia that like I wasn't a very good writer, except by one teacher, Miss Butler, for saying this, I love you. She was amazing. She really nurtured me as a human through words, and she just believed in the power of expression. And so I went away and I started writing, and I started sharing it with my therapist, and she's like, this is beautifully raw. And you feel like you're in Omar's mind, which I think that was one of the biggest things for me, was I was really struggling to express how I felt to people. But I kept it away and I didn't show it to anyone, and it took me years to really like bring it out. And it was through an ex-girlfriend. My ex was going through my stuff one day and found my poetry.
So you started writing at 18 and just kept it to yourself?
Just kept it to myself.
Wow.
I would share it with my therapist, but yeah, with anyone else, nah. And then I started sharing it with friends, and I wanted to get better at it. And actually, I don't know if it was I wanted to get better at it. I wanted to be able to express myself.
Yeah.
I still found myself like frustrated that I couldn't quite get what was in my head down on paper. And I found it just such a relief, like crying, where like there would be so much pent up emotion, and then I would turn and just start spewing, just like whatever would come to my mind. And it is in no way sense a classical form of poetry. It's who I am. It's my weird ADHD brain that like spits in flow, but then comes out of flow, and my grammar's a bit all over the place sometimes when I write. But I don't want to change that because
it's your expression,
me,
right?
Exactly, right? So I found it alongside like therapy and sport, like the most therapeutic thing that I could do for myself. And I was always trying to find a meaning of who I was and what I do, and it's added to that. And like I find anytime I look back at my journey, and I'm able to like bookmark or benchmark like times, and like 5 years ago I felt like that. Look at me now, like
incredible, right?
God, like where was my mind then, and where's my mind now? And it's a diary.
100%. They say, yeah, it is. You know how the people talk about like journaling, and it's really recommended to journal.
Yeah,
it's different ways of documenting how you're feeling.
100%.
I think Matthew McConaughey is huge on journaling. I think he said he's been journaling for like 30 years or longer, and he recommends it for all men. And he was like, there doesn't need to be any kind of hard and fast rule on how you journal.
Yeah.
But it is just, do you know what's crazy? It's sort of, you know, the whole body keeps a score. If it's inside you, if the score's being kept inside you, sometimes it just needs to come out in some way.
Yeah.
So creative expression is extremely nourishing, but also like necessary and therapeutic. And that isn't to sound like really woo and holier than thou, right? But it's actually like, there's a reason people say try it.
Yeah. I mean, my book's called Saved by the Pen for a reason.
Incredible, by the way.
Thank
I'm
you.
going to
I
show it in a
appreciate
sec. But...
It multiple times. It also it's got this beautiful way of like bringing you back to earth.
Yeah.
Because you're so. I think one of the things that we don't touch upon as humans is for so much of our day we are so in here, and I think that's why we find so much like comfort in our phones and
numbing.
Addiction. Yeah, it's numbing. It's getting away. It's distractions from our minds and
from actually sitting with an experience.
Exactly. And I think going back to sort of what mental health is with men, especially, is like we're not told that our emotions matter or count. So when I'm all up in here, like a cold shower does wonders, but also just like sitting down and writing.
Yeah. It's so funny because even now as we're having these conversations, right? In my head I'm thinking, rah, are we just two massive pussy holes? Like, just chatting about feelings and stuff. But I'm like, I clearly needed to like, do you know what I mean? And it just shows you the internal conditioning. And it's like, where else is it meant to go? Until it becomes something bad, you know?
I really do believe that the world will be a better place when we're all allowed to express who we really are within ourselves, and that comes with feelings. Like I can go back into my poetry and look at the person who I was 5, 8, 10 years ago, and look at and feel now, and I am so much more at peace now than I was back then because of the outlets that I have. That's my friends, my family, my relationship with myself. Like I also don't like it's not a bad feeling, it's a feeling. You know, like we're conditioned to think that this is good and that is bad. Like this is just a feeling. Feel it. And don't let it like completely take over you, but just feel it. And a lot of the time when you let yourself feel it,
it's easier said than done though, isn't it? So true.
I mean, if we were all able to do it, we would all do it.
So this is are you filming? Oh, sorry. This is the book that you published, Saved by the Pen. I remember coming to your first reading as well. It's sick, man.
Yeah, it was fun,
what a
man.
sick event.
Thank you.
And you had your friend who...
Ahmed.
Yeah, he's
He plays
incredible.
the oud,
Yeah.
and the nai, and the buzuk, which are some of the most incredible instruments.
But just hearing you guys perform together, the synergy was incredible. But your mum has a publishing house, and your mum actually published this, but she didn't necessarily know the content of what was going to be.
It was interesting because a lot of the poems talk about grief, talk about blame, talk about substance abuse, talk about...
So you felt quite exposed, I guess.
But it brought us so much closer.
Yeah.
And actually what was funny was what I thought was going to be the really hard bits, which is talking about all of that, was actually quite easy. It's all the hard bit, or the easy bits that I thought, or the things that I thought were going to be easy were actually the hard bits.
Wow.
Which was talking about what paper color, font, sizing.
Because that's not the stuff that you're thinking about.
100%. I loved making this book. It brought us so close.
Sorry, I got. What was the process like? Thank you very much. I'll ask you a question again. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're going to share in the main course?
Yeah, we'll just put it in the middle.
In that case, then just put one here.
Thank you.
Nice one.
This looks good, man.
Yeah.
That's the other that I was explaining.
Perfect. Big skewer.
Right.
Thank you, bro.
This looks good, man. You can pause it and we can start again if you want, if you need to, or are you going to have it rolling? Oh, sick. Sick. But no, I want to know a bit more about the actual process of, because not everyone can just write and publish a book, and it's a lot of emotional input, right?
Here we go, gents.
Wow.
Thank you very much.
Oh wow.
Mashallah.
We make here,
Wow. Yeah, tzatziki.
Yogurt.
Try it. Can you have yogurt?
Yeah.
It's like tzatziki.
Yogurt and cucumber.
It's really nice.
Garlic.
Yeah, it's really nice. Yeah.
It bangs. It's
What was
It's
the process
tough.
like? How long did it take? Like,
the book.
yeah.
So the poems date back to like 6-7 years ago.
Oh wow. Okay.
It's I racked my brain trying to figure out why I was publishing a book,
Yeah.
what I wanted from it, where was it going,
Yeah.
and the answer that I fell upon was, excuse the pun, but I wanted to close the chapter on a version of myself that
Wow, yeah.
I still hold on to,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I want to move forward from. And I think we were saying earlier, like, I don't want grief and addiction and
Yeah. To be your story.
to be my story anymore. Like,
Yeah.
it is a part of me, but I wanna write a new book.
Do you know what? That's got me like really pensive, because I think that's an experience that a lot of people can relate to, right? So actually about forgiving yourself maybe for a person you no longer are, right? And just recognizing that something isn't your story anymore. And I think a lot of people often associate leaving their environments to become because a lot of the time the people and the places that you associate with a version of yourself that you no longer are makes you feel like you're still that person. Yeah. Even me, myself, like I'm very different to who I was 5 years ago. Entirely different to who I was 10 years ago. And I've quite consciously now find myself, I've got some amazing friends, which I'm very lucky for, because they have really supported my development.
Yeah.
Right? And which I know people aren't always that lucky. Because a lot of people have like haters, man. They just want to remind you, oh, but you used to be like this. Why are you trying to do this thing now?
Have a drink, bro.
Yeah, this is what you used to be like. But my friends are completely different. They've been very supportive, and I think it's because they saw like acute, extreme trauma that they were like, wow, I hope that doesn't happen to me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like I remember before I lost my mum, I used to be like, oh my God, imagine if I ever lost my mum. Which is crazy, right? I was like, that would be the worst thing that could happen to me. Yeah. I remember thinking that. I used to say it to my mum.
Yeah, wow.
I was like, Mum, imagine if you passed away, like, I'd be finished. Yeah. That's the worst thing that can happen, right? And then it does, and then you're like, whoa, so I'm on the other side of the worst thing.
Isn't it crazy though that when it happens, there is a moment of I'm still alive?
Yeah. And that lasts for quite a while.
Yeah. Like, okay, the worst thing that I could ever imagine has actually happened. Yeah. And I'm still here. Yeah. There's a power to it.
I was gonna say, I was gonna ask you that in the gym about the empowering element of having weathered something like this. Knowing that you're capable of, I guess, surviving.
It's made me, I think I used to run with fear. My life was led by fear.
I think I still do, you know.
Do you?
Yeah, I'm getting better, but I think I've noticed that I'm still, even in the good, I'm still like, but what if? You know what I mean? It's something I'm working on.
I think that's natural, but it's not leading you though.
No,
You're doing all the things that you set out. Like, we need fear. Like, it's a survival thing. If we don't run with fear, we're
yeah, it's true. It's true. It's true. What I was gonna say just before, is that I'm now quite conscious of if there's people that try to drag me back or remind me about someone that I no longer am. I'm like, okay, you're the kind of person I don't need that, don't need you. But I've been very lucky that I'm not around many of those people.
Yeah.
All of my friends I think my friends would find it more weird if I wasn't who I am now.
That's beautiful.
Which is incredible,
right? True testament of friendship. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the things I was afraid of, actually. But I've been very lucky. You just reprioritize. When something like that happens to you, you're like, wow, like, how big are these problems really? Do you know what I mean?
It becomes a bit of a superpower.
100%.
Like, you don't react to the same things anymore. Almost a bit of an armor, like a bulletproof armor, where you're like,
yeah, bro.
I faced shaitan. I faced like the devil, and I'm so much more powerful than anything that can come out around it. Where you're complaining about this when I faced my biggest fear and survived it.
Yeah.
Which isn't to say that people's problems
exactly. I had this experience actually. One of my friends.
Valid.
Exactly.
But you almost do have this kind of like, I understand it, I get it.
Yeah.
But like
and you have to not patronize someone else's.
100%.
And I learned that as well, because one of my friends, it was like a year or so after my mum passed away, and he was like depressed over a breakup, which it can be like an incredibly rattling experience, right? And he was talking, and the physical symptoms he was having were like worse than my grief symptoms. And in my head, I was thinking, wow, like this is because this is the height of the pain that you've experienced. Yeah. So relatively, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to him. But like, and I'm sure before I experienced, like it could have been the height of my pain, right? But everything, you have a relative experience to everything eventually. Thank you. So when you now experience hardship, you're like, well, I can survive this because I survived. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I think it's, for me, it was, I feared it for such a long time.
Yeah, because yours was like, you knew it was coming, right, for a long time.
Well, I mean, having a father who was 60 when he had me, at the forefront of my brain, at a very young age, was very conscious of his age, losing him. Like, my life kind of revolved around it.
Yeah.
And then when it happened, and again, I've kind of already said it, but like, I was face to face with my biggest fear.
Yeah.
And it took a hold of me for a really long time, but I had the support of my family, I had the support of my friends, I had the support of myself. Like, I knew what to do deep down.
How's your food, gents?
Incredible.
Really
like
good.
it?
Yeah.
Really good.
Amazing.
Thank you very much.
The only thing that I can compare it now will be losing my mum.
Do you know what? I just to cap up on this point, I think about that so much more now. When having lost one parent, I think if I lost my dad now, like losing your mum is like losing your soul, and then losing your dad is like losing your whole world, right? I'd be like, the only reason like we're upstanding is because like your fathers quietly take care of everything in the background. Unsung,
100%.
your mother's like you're there, right? And like so, like when I lost my mum, it's like I lost like everything is like just ripped out. But the thought of losing my dad, and I'm much more conscious of it now, and I see him like he's aging, and I'm like, oh my god, I'd lose my entire world there. But you know, you kind of also then have to.
It's made me and my mum closer.
Yeah, same actually. It's really improved my relationship with my dad, which it wasn't always the case. But now I have a different relationship with my dad than I ever did. We paused to munch.
To yam.
His food slap. Fathers, a lot of the time, they shoulder a lot of the blame for things that aren't their fault. It took a lot of self-reflection to be like, right, you can always keep blaming people for your problems, right? For me anyway, this is my thing. And eventually you have to be like, okay, but I need to call an end to this here, otherwise this trauma is just going to pass on. In time, that's helped me develop like a relationship with my dad that I never thought I would have. And actually he's also, it goes both ways. I think he's appreciated and learned a lot about himself through his relationship with his kids. But you mentioned as well, like losing one parent like really draws you closer to the other, right?
Yeah, I mean, we were in the trenches together, you know, like, and it can go one or two ways. It can completely split you up, or it can bring you closer. And I think we all loved my dad so much that like the only thing he cared about really was his family. So for us to do anything other than what we've done now is a reflection of what he you know gave us and bestowed upon us, and you know, family over everything. And yeah, we've been to hell and back, but like we're here and we're all, you know, healthy and fit, and there's a lot of love with all of us in us. So like we're good. And again, it's a testament to my father, and it's a testament to all of us. Like singularly, like the work that we've done, we are all there for each other, and like we all understand that each one of us has a different path and different pace and timing to do all of these kind of things. Like I jumped into the deep end right away. I was like, right, I need to fix, and possibly for my mum and my sister it was slightly different. And you have to let people follow in their own path, right? It's only brought us, my sisters, so much closer. So yeah,
that's beautiful, man.
I'm
if
happy.
you could characterize your grief, obviously you're a poet, in any kind of way. Like for me, I'm cheating a bit, but it really struck me when someone said that grief is just unexpressed love, right? And I would sometimes journal and write to my mum about her as well. And I saw this post once and I was like, yo, that's me. Like, and there's certain phrases that like I would really resonate with. So like one, I saw this picture where someone was just sat there going, I think I'm gonna miss you for the rest of my life. But I rate that. Yeah. I want that feeling. Yeah. You know, sometimes the sadness is like, it feels like it was all real. Yeah. So it's a nice feeling. Yeah. Through the pain. And then the other thing is the whole, I think I started a letter to my mum once with, what am I supposed to do with all of this love? It's kind of like the question that I ask when you miss a parent a lot, right? Or you miss someone a lot. It's like, I have all of this, where do I put it? Where do I put it? Like, I don't have anywhere appropriate to put it.
Loving yourself.
Yeah, it's a good point actually.
I think it's a big one that I've been trying to learn how to do.
Yeah.
Self-love.
Which is probably why it manifests in like looking after your health and
eating right, sleeping right, moving right. And that's not to say like, I went through like a sober stint. I did like close to 2 years, and sobriety came right at the right time for me. Like I needed it when I needed it. And it taught me so much about myself. And my relationship with it now has become where I didn't want anything to control me. So even in sobriety, alcohol and drugs controlled me. And I have a very different relationship with them.
Yeah.
I barely really drink.
Yeah.
I drink every so often. I'm not a drinker anymore, and I was a drinker. It was a part of my story. It was a part of me. And that's not to say to anyone that like they should hold themselves differently through sobriety. Like sobriety's for I dip in and out of sobriety as well. Like I'll do stints of sobriety, and then
what did it do for you in that period?
It made me love myself. It made me like, it was a mirror that I daily had to look into. Yeah. I had to face myself every single day. I had no escape. Working out wasn't cutting it. Writing wasn't cutting it. Like I had this escapism, this mechanism to escape that was my best friend.
Yeah.
Alcohol and drugs were my best friend. Why? Because they were so reliable. Because they were always there. Like if I needed them, they were there. And I stripped away, I lost another part of who I was, and I had to face my grief, and I had to face myself. And
you were removing that numbing agent, basically.
Yeah, 100%.
And really like facing how you were feeling, therefore.
Yeah. And I think we're told that like feelings are bad, and or like some feelings are bad and some feelings are good. Like love is great, but sadness is really bad. Like sadness is fucking important.
Yeah, like a big part of what I learned, people chase just the happiness, the love, the joy, the euphoria, but the sadness and the grief is just as important. And actually they're two sides of the same coin. And that's the only way that you can think of grief as unexpressed love. So that it's funny because when you experience it, like I was just saying, I miss now in my avoidant state the first year when I was just openly, explicitly in pain. And now I'm like, wow, like I was allowed to express myself in that way in that period. Yeah. But like it made me like feel the acute pain made me feel like this is all real. Like you've actually lost something important to you. And that pain is actually something that I crave, weirdly, because that immediate pain made me feel closer to what had just happened, and actually made me feel closer to my mum. Right?
It allows you to think about her.
Yeah, exactly.
It allows you to keep her right here, or here, or here, or here, wherever. One of the saddest moments was I realized I stopped thinking about my dad relatively recently. I was like, oh shit, I haven't thought about him in a while. But I think it's a good thing. Like we need to move on. I live my life through my father, and everything I do is because of him. But like
it's the moving forward rather than moving on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You never really move on, but you move forward.
Yeah. Exactly. There's an addiction to pain as well, where
it's a really good point,
because it's a feeling. We feel it. A lot of this is numb.
Yeah.
You know, we walk around and it's
overstimulating,
and we're numb, and we go to work and we don't feel, and then we're on our phones and we don't feel, and we're watching TV and we don't feel, and then we're like, fuck, I miss feeling. And when we think about feeling, a lot of the time the sadness will be the first thing that pops up, because it's the most raw, and like we can be as beings focus on hardship rather than joy, which is why I'm trying to like balance as well. It's like think about the good times as well as the pain as well.
Yeah, it's a really healthy way to approach it. The other thing that I was funny how when we met, like the story of how we met, I don't know if you know my side of the story.
I don't.
This was relatively early on into like the atrocities that have been ongoing over the last
428 days or whatever it is.
And we train at a gym, quite a luxury gym in central London, where you're quite conscious of the crowd that are there. And I remember I walked in with a Palestine hoodie, and I walked through and I was like already really self-conscious, because I'm like, who's looking at me? What are people thinking? I shouldn't care, I'm gonna do it anyway. And I remember clocking you, and the beautiful thing about Omar is he's very Aryan white passing, right? I just see this white guy with hella tats, and I'm like, and I'm wearing this Palestine hoodie, and I go to do pull-ups. I was doing pull-ups, and then in my head I was thinking, someone's looking at me, and then I stopped, and then you'd come up behind me and you tapped me on the shoulder, and I thought, oh, here we go. I'm gonna have to say something now.
Yeah.
And then you were like, bro, where'd you get your hoodie from? And I've never been so like pleasantly surprised.
Relieved.
Yeah, and I remember saying to you like, bro, this is crazy. I thought you were about to like kick off.
Yeah.
And then the first thing you said was, bro, I'm Lebanese. But to that point though, like, I guess it's the crazy world that we're in, that we're having to experience these things in isolation. Overheating. You can switch it off.
Finish your sentence.
No, it's fine. Or that I guess what we're experiencing over the last however long, and not really sure about who and where is a safe place to express those feelings.
It's funny because London feels like a bit of a microcosm of the world. It's like there's safe spaces to be able to express these things, but then a lot of unsafe spaces and we're faced by them pretty much daily. Constantly. Like, it's a funny thing, man. Like, I remember seeing you in the gym and I was like, finally. Honestly, because like, that gym is, it's...
Yeah, actually, you came up to me, you were like, I was going to wear my keffiyeh. I was like, is you chatting shit? Are you trolling me? I've been well fed, well trained. I was going to say, with everything that's happened in the world, Palestine, Lebanon, and just in general, like, I guess much of what we're seeing and having to experience over a year now. How has it been as a Lebanese man witnessing and experiencing this collective grief? But obviously for you, there's like a closer link. I remember you sharing a lot of stuff, being like, my family are there right now.
There's a survivor complex. There's a survivor guilt. There's this like deep yearning to be there, but then also like this gratitude for safety and like not having to put my mum and my family through excruciating pain to like have, you know, their family member there. Collective grief. We're unfortunately conditioned in our world and many other parts of the world as well, but to identify with this idea that we're so resilient and born to suffer, and this is who we are, and we're really good at it. Fuck being good at it, man. Like, I don't want to be good at it anymore. Like, we shouldn't have to be good at this. People will say it's a lot of, you know, our own doing, and our internal politics can get messed up and whatever, but like the outside involvement within the region exasperates that a tenfold. It comes up in really, really different ways. Like in Lebanon, there's a sense of a part of Lebanon will sit within the emotion, a part of Lebanon will escape from the emotion and try and live their lives how they want to live their lives and freely, and you have to understand it as well. Like, there's, as we said earlier, we don't want to be identified with our trauma, and for the most part, who knows what's the right or wrong way of doing it. I think the only thing that I can say about it is it's brought me closer to my community here. It's made me realize that I need to dig deep within myself to find courage to say things that are difficult to people who will not appreciate the things that I'm saying, and because I know deep down that like what we're going through is it's not right. It will come out in different ways. It'll come out in and it'll come out in violence, and it'll come out in lots of different ways, and unfortunately I think there's a trend historically with these things where oppression will create art and culture, and then that culture and that art will then be celebrated, but the people making it and feeling it and dying for it are still pushed to the side. We've seen it with, you know, the black community. You know, people are very happy to celebrate, you know, so there's stars and artists, but
there's a book that I read. I think it's by Susan Cain, and it's called Melancholy, or is it called? No, it's called Bittersweet. Sorry, but the theme is about melancholy, and she talks about how majority of the greatest art that we remember in the world comes from deep sadness, because a shared experience of sadness and grief and melancholy unites people over art like nothing else can. So when you think about Van Gogh, right? Van Gogh, white people say, right? And Van Gogh, I can't do that. But like he was depressed throughout his life, and he died a really sad, poor man. The famous thing about him cutting off his ear and stuff. And his work is celebrated now. And he was actually someone that was very tortured and troubled, and it came out in his art. Mozart, but also if you think about like sad songs, Adele, right? It's all like her breakup songs, just the things that she's dealing with, like, but across the board, right? Poetry through the ages, it's inspired by actually quite the depths of sadness, which paints quite a rich picture. And I think it's because a lot of people deal with their pain and suffering through various forms of creative expression, right?
I think it connects with people as well because sometimes art is the voice for the voiceless.
Yeah, 100%.
And we're okay to feel happy. We're good.
Yeah.
We celebrate feeling happy, but the feelings that we don't know how to express and we internalize are the ones that when we look at art, we're like, that's how I felt.
Yeah.
Finally, someone's been able to...
That's so true, man. There's often times where I have this experience where I'm like, oh, someone has just said what I've been feeling and thinking for a long time. And I think you can't even really like condense how everyone's been feeling for the last year or so, right? But I guess, do you feel hopeful? You have
to. Like there's been times of crippling pain, like especially at the beginning of last year. The beginning of last year, I was crippled in the pain. But yeah, like there's the only thing we can do is hope. Hope through action. Like, you know, if there's no actions, then we're just screaming into a void and no one's gonna care. But yeah, like liberation will come. Yeah.
And what about for you and yourself? Like everything you've been through. I know we've spoken a lot about really quite heavy stuff. But like, how do you feel about the hope you have for your medium, near and long-term future?
I'm light, man. I feel really light, which is a beautiful realization. I had a really beautiful moment over the summer where I was looking up at the stars, and I have a dog, and I was taking care of Jess's sister's dog, Shannon, Royan, who I deeply love as well. And I was looking up at the stars, and these dogs were running around this park, and I was like, man, like this is the life I imagined I would have as a kid.
Wow.
And
that's
like,
so beautiful.
And how can I not be thankful for that?
Yeah.
You know, like I'm living a life that I want to live. And like I called my best mate, Mia, in Lebanon, and I turned to her and I was like, I feel guilty for feeling good at times.
Yeah.
One, because my family, my friends are in Lebanon and what the world is going through. And she laughed and she was like, finally you're allowed to feel good, kid. Like, feel it. And through that good, keep fighting the fight when you're abroad. And I think the things that we're doing now with, in London through art and through community is gonna hopefully further our cause and bring liberation to the people that need to be liberated. I feel good, man. I feel hopeful. I feel grounded. I feel like I'm on a path that I've chosen and want to be on. And,
that's wicked, man. I love to hear that. Survivor's guilt is a real thing.
It's huge.
In many forms, but I think permission to feel happy is important. Yeah, it's true, because that being able to feel happy and joyous is a gift as well. And it's written for you to feel happy as well. I think that's a really important thing.
We're so blessed. We're so lucky.
Bro, 100%, man. And like I said, I think we were speaking earlier about the two, like, sometimes corresponding emotions of like sabr and shukr, right? Which is like, you're either in a state of being patient or you're in a state of being grateful. Yeah. Or most of the time both, right?
Yeah.
So
patience is also a thing that I think we're being led away from as a society. Like quick relationships, quick fixes, quick, easy. We all want easy. It's okay to go through the hard things and be patient within them. And if you have a vision and you have a goal, only good will come to you if you are patient. And I think I'm learning patience within myself.
Well, long may it continue, and I hope that you're nourished with patience and love, man. Thank you so much for doing this, bro.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man.
Love that, man.